Welcome to Spiritual Ambition, where we tune in to awaken our divine nature and explore the provocative inner force compelling us toward our fullest potential. If you've achieved external success but feel a deeper calling, if you're tired of dimming your light to fit in, and you know there's a more powerful way to live and lead and love, you're in the right place. Host Donna Bond is a best-selling author, modern-day high priestess, and catalyst for personal transformation. Together, we're birthing a new paradigm of loving leadership, integrating our humanity with divine wisdom as our individual awakening serves collective evolution. Here's your host of Spiritual Ambition, Donna Bond.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Welcome if you're here for the first time. Welcome if you're scrolling on the interwaves and I'm going by in your feed. Come land with us. I'm Donna Bond, and this is Spiritual Ambition. This is episode 11, Life's Learning Journey Revealed. And we're continuing our conversation about spiritual curriculum and what on earth is spiritual curriculum. Before we begin, we call in the light. We take a moment out of the busy day-to-day and the fray and the going and the doing and the striving and the pushing and the forcing, and we turn our attention in. So wherever you are, unless of course you're driving, I'm going to invite you to just take a breath. Welcome everyone who's here. Evelyn, thank you for your warm blessing that you're sending in. And Kirsch, hello, welcome. It's lovely to have you here. Wherever you are, go ahead right in this moment and just close your eyes. And I want you to just notice the beating of your own heart. And as you just gently take an inhalation and feel the air as it's traveling in your nostrils. And notice the vitality and the energy that is alive inside of you. You might even be noticing in this moment that you feel tired, or that you feel sad, or that you feel frustrated. Whatever might be coming forward, whatever you are noticing, let that just be okay in this minute. You don't have to move it or hide it or fix it or fade it. Just notice it. And as you continue breathing, knowing you're safe and you're loved. And together we join our hearts and we ask this divine architect, the infinite universe of all that is. We call ourselves forward into your loving. And we ask to be cleared, filled, surrounded, and protected with the clear white light of living love. We ask that any karma, negativity, imbalance, any distress, discomfort, dis-ease, any energy or vibrational frequency that is vibrating at anything less than the frequency of divine loving that may be residing anywhere in our consciousness. We ask that all of that just now be lifted and cleared, carried to the highest realms of light and sound, and transmuted back into the nothingness. Into this space, we welcome original wisdom, inner knowingness, clarity of mind, strength of heart, peace, calm, groundedness, restoration, receiving, allowing, We acknowledge and we welcome only those divine beings of light who love you unconditionally, who work for the divine plan, and who work for the light. We welcome only you into our sacred space here today, and we ask these divine guardians of light for their assistance in bringing forward healing, revelation, and wisdom of the heart that will resonate most profoundly with each individual here, whether they are live or watching the recording, for their highest good and the highest good of all concerned. We are grateful for the opportunity to come together and do this work. And for this and more, we say thank you. Welcome. Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to the room. Charlene, hello. Sierra, thank you for being with us. KB, welcome back. Mako, hello. Lovely to have you with us. So today we're going to do a little coaching. And if you are feeling like you need a little soul-centered love, little guidance from your own soul, this is really what I intend to do, is reflect to you your own wisdom, your own brilliance, your own inner guidance in a way in which your soul is inviting your awareness. And, we're continuing this conversation about our sacred soul plan. And our sacred soul plan is essentially what we call our spiritual curriculum. This is life's learning journey that is designed to bring you into your fullest expression in this life. And we do that by going through opportunities that are presenting to us the lessons that our soul took embodiment for and came to this life to learn. And we have to remember that Earth is a school. And every single one of us, whether we're consciously aware of it or not, are here engaged and enrolled in this school of life. And over the course of my own life, because I have been so obsessed with decoding the wisdom of the soul, that I have done so many deep dives into trying to understand, well, what are my lessons all about? What is the curriculum that is in store for me in such a way that the more awareness I can bring to that curriculum, the more clue I have, the more I can be aware when another opportunity presents itself to me, and I can then say, oh my God, this right here is an opportunity for my growth and my expansion, and an opportunity for me to learn something new, to evolve into my fullest expression of who I've come here to be. And I think it was episode, 11, 10, 9, maybe it was episode 8. We talked about our sacred soul signature. And our sacred soul signature is this blueprint, this energetic blueprint that exists within you. And that holds the code to your fullest expression. But the only way that that code can become unlocked is through living your life and through these different opportunities that we have to learn and grow. So I'm going to share a story with you, another story about my own curriculum. But before we do that, we start each of these episodes on spiritual ambition with our sacred circle of light. Jennifer, welcome back. Lovely to have you with us. Michelle, welcome. Welcome in, everyone. If you're not saying hello in the chat, I just want to invite you to drop your name in our space. Today, we're going to be doing some live coaching, and I'm going to do some soul coaching around our spiritual curriculum, around our sacred soul plan. But first, we're going to do our sacred circle of light. And this community comes together, and we intentionally place people in the light who need a little love, who need some upliftment, people who might be struggling or going through a health crisis, or someone who is having some mental health challenges, or maybe they've lost their job. Maybe they're in a country that is involved in war right now, and they're afraid. So in this moment, we are just sending our loving intention for each of those people. And I have a list here of some names that came in. If you would like to submit the name of anybody who you would like included, you can go to Spiritual Ambition, Sacred Light.com, Spiritual Ambition, sacredlight.com, or you can just drop the name right in the chat. And, the first person that I'm going to send some light to is my mother, because tomorrow she turns 80 years old, which is really a phenomenal milestone. And she's probably not watching this live, so I'm going to just let out a little secret that I have prepared, like sort of a letter to her that I created in audio. And it's a recap of her life. And I can't wait to play it for her and to share it with her. So, Betty, you're on our light list today. We're also sending the light out to Mara, to Brooke, to David, to Debbie, to Sean, to Casey, and to Alicia. So we just take a moment and we just intentionally send that light. KB wants to add Althea, David, and Ashley. And thank you, Jennifer, for the light, for the thanks to the happy birthday. All right. So, Sacred Soul Plan. I want to give you an example that I think will be really helpful for you. When we're trying to identify these learning curriculums for us, one of the best things that we can do is find a repeating pattern in our life. And when we can find that repeating pattern, then we can begin to identify the themes that run through those repeating patterns. So my father was a very big personality, big energy, very masculine, very dominant. He was a massive authority figure in my life. And, because he was my father, he got to boss me around and tell me what to do. And of course, he was directly tied to my livelihood. And because he was my father and he was, the breadwinner in the family and was providing for us, for me and my sisters and my mother. And he died when I was 22. And following his death, I had a series of very strong, very dominant, very masculine, very authoritative men who were in my life in different positions of authority. And I was working out this dynamic that was unhealed between me and my father through all of these other men that sort of presented in the same sort of archetypal way. And many of them were my bosses. And again, right, a boss is an authority figure. This is somebody who is directly tied to my livelihood because they're sort of in charge of my paycheck. And I am holding the perception that this person has control over me, that this person has authority over me. And this pattern went on and on and on until I recognized that this was directly related to me understanding my own inner authority and learning to work with and rely on that my own inner authority, and that the only thing that has authority above me is my higher power. And I don't even want to say it in that way. Like I want to choose my words carefully here because I don't want to put God outside of me, because I am of God, you are of God. And however you identify with your higher power, whether you see that as the universe or nature or Buddha or Allah, it doesn't matter. However your higher power, however you identify with that, with you. This was a big lesson for me to understand that it is through that higher power within me, as part of me, that I get to be the authority in my own life. And, you know, the terrible thing, the crazy thing, the thing to be aware of about these patterns is they're going to continue to repeat throughout the course of our life. But how we relate to that pattern is really where the learning happens. Because for a long time, I was unconscious, completely had no idea about the pattern. And then once I got a clue about the pattern, I was given some different opportunities to really ground in my own inner authority. And, you know, I had to really look at what are the ways that I put my power into someone else. I put my power into my teacher, or I put my power into my government, or I put my power into my doctor, or I put my power into my church. You know, and it's interesting. And this, I'm going to be teaching a class that kicks off actually next week. It's called Decode Your Divine Purpose. And in the second session of this class, I have an assessment basically to help you understand what power dynamic you're working with based on your spiritual curriculum. Because I think at the end of the day, as divine creators, we're all always negotiating power and understanding what it means to have the power of a creator. And so how I relate to that power and use that power is always being reflected to me. And I'm always being invited to understand that power at the deepest level and how I use that power. And so I think underneath all of these dynamics and all of these lessons, they always drill down into understanding power. And, you know, we very much live in a world that has been driven by having power over others. And because we've been all conditioned to understand the world in that way, it's easy for us to place ourselves in that submissive role or in that inferior role and to make somebody else outside of us the authority because they have the power. So this is a whole paradigm shift. And this is really the invitation that is on offer from all of us. So we're doing some coaching today, and I have heard from Carrie Ann, and Carrie Ann has agreed to come talk to us today. And I'm going to do a little coaching with Carrie Ann, and we're going to explore her sacred soul plan and what's sort of unfolding for her. But if there's anyone else that feels called to come on and be in my safe, loving embrace, we're going to drop a link in the chat, and you can just get your place in line by clicking on that link, and you can come backstage, and I would love to welcome you in. I hope all of this is landing and resonating. All right. Well, we are going to invite Carrie onto the stage floor with me. And I see a link in the chat for anyone else who wants to come backstage. Carrie Ann, welcome.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's so lovely to be with you today. I'm so glad that you're here. So tell us what's going on in your life as it pertains to becoming aware of some patterns that you see maybe repeating in your own life that might be pointing you to an opportunity for learning and growth.
So it's the key word that comes up to me is my issues with trust. And I don't know if it's me. I'm hearing a little bit of feedback. So I just, it's interesting. So I feel like I've had a lot of opportunities recently, and a consistent pattern that comes up with me is my distrust of other people. Like I actually, the more I've looked into this, I have a definite, I always feel like I have eyes in the back of my head, or I always am anticipating that there's an ulterior motive that somebody else had. Like I have to be on guard. On guard would be the word. And I've just had frequent, I can look back and I can also see it's intensifying lately, where I'm seeing more and more opportunities where I'm recognizing that. And interestingly to me, what I think it has to do more of, as I look more into it deeply, is I feel like the lessons that I'm learning about that is that it's actually myself that I don't trust, and that I'm grappling with wanting to trust myself more, because I can really look at situations and see that what I'm really, I think, being shown somehow, some way, is that all of this distrust is because that's actually how I feel about myself. Like I don't trust myself to make the right decisions, to take a leap, so I have a hard time in life. Like I make decisions, but never ever without there being 1,000 voices in my head saying, well, I don't know, and this, that, and the other thing. And I have to work. And I've had a few opportunities just recently where if I had listened to the voice in my head and not pushed through it, I would have missed opportunities. And just for instance, I don't like to go out of my house at night. Like it's very hard. Like the sun goes down. I don't even know if this has any tie to but I'm just going to go with it. The sun goes down and I'm in. And I know what that comes from having doing a lot of inner work, but like the skies go dark and I'm in, and if anything is going to get in the way of my schedule or force me to go out, I'm just going to shut it down, which I feel as I'm aging, I'm recognizing is stopping opportunities. So I recently had something where it was like, come out and do it. And I had to push through. And when I did get there, it's interesting. It was a shamanic fire ceremony that I decided to go to. And we did some drumming. And she ended up pulling some cards during that time. And I pulled the card of journey and imagination, which is pretty much, and then, so it was just, but if I hadn't gone, I mean, I don't know, so much. So those are sort of, I feel like I'm on, my soul's trying to figure out what it's supposed to do. And my biggest hindrance to that is my distrust of others, but really it's my distrust of myself.
Well, I first of all just want to reflect to you your incredible awareness, right? Like I really want to acknowledge you because the world is our mirror, right? So if we are in distrust of someone else, that absolutely is a connection that you're not trusting yourself. And this is what's called a projection, where we then are projecting this out onto another. I also want to acknowledge you for recognizing the voice in your head. And not everyone can do that, Carrie Ann. So can you share a little bit with us about how do you spot that voice and know that that voice is not necessarily the voice of the soul, but perhaps the voice of the ego, our operating system?
I can definitely tell you how I know, because immediately it is a fearful sensation. It's always within this part of my body. Like I can feel, and it's an immediate, like it's, if the opportunity presents itself, if the situation is there, it's like a boom. It's like it grabs me, and it's a very palpable, fearful, like quick, protect yourself. Nope, stop. Like it's that kind of a feeling. And it goes along then with the following, and it is not an easy thing. It's like a very, like it brings tears to my eyes, because it can be an inner battle. Like it is just definitely a conversation where I literally have to tell it to shut up. And I've gotten better at doing that, like literally. And it's like walking off a cliff though, because like I was going to a fire ceremony. I mean, let's talk about this for a second. It was such a beautiful thing, right? But I was like, no way, like my whole body, you would have thought that I was presenting myself like, I don't know, like I was going to go bungee jumping or something, like it was the way I felt about it. So yeah, it's a definite physical feeling that I hear along with the words of why no, and why it won't work, and why I shouldn't, and how it's stupid, or, what am I thinking? Like it's all those negative things. So it's anything bad, negative, fearful, or angry in me, usually the way it's presenting. I can't hear you, Donna.
Oh, I wonder what happened.
Now I can hear
you. Okay. What would it be like for you to relate to that voice with a little bit more gentle compassion? Because what I hear you sharing is, I'm telling that voice to shut up. And there's a dynamic that goes on there between you and that voice. And I want to explore that a little bit deeper and see if perhaps if you were comforting a small child who is afraid of something, what would you say to them? It's okay.
It's interesting because I find that when I'm in a meditative state, I'm a little kinder to that voice, but I would be a lot kinder, and I would comfort, and I would be more apt to acknowledge versus condemn, for lack of a better word, like to be judgmental. So, yeah.
Carrie, what keeps you from being that more compassionate?
Well, I think it's my continued struggle with loving myself. I'm not going to lie. It's like just acknowledging my value, I guess. I don't know. Probably. Yeah. I mean, that's the first thing that comes to mind. Yeah.
If you, may I talk about your profession?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So I know that you're a nurse, and if someone that you were nursing told you that they didn't love themselves, what would you say to them?
Oh, I would say I would point out all of their beautiful attributes. I would do everything I could to make them recognize how valuable and loved they are and needed. And yeah, I would it would come naturally. I mean, it comes naturally for anyone. And I recognize that. I even recognize that when I'll be speaking to someone, maybe that is down and out or something's going on or in my career. And the thing is that when I'm doing that, I try to be more mindful and recognize that what I'm saying, I actually, again, because I believe those situations too present themselves so that when I'm speaking that, I'm actually speaking to myself. Like somewhere deep inside me is needing to hear that, what I'm saying to that person, somewhere deep inside of me that is saying, I need that too. Hello, but it's not an easy thing to do, is it? It's tough.
Would you be willing to speak to her right now?
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. Help her see all the ways that she is lovable.
Are you wanting me to speak and tell her tell myself how I'm lovable? Isn't it interesting how difficult it is to come up with words to say to yourself when, the first thing that comes to me is that I'm giving.
Yes.
That I'm giving, that I'm compassionate. That I stop there at giving and compassionate. That I put people before myself, that's not a hard thing for me to do. But that I'm forgetting myself when I do that. Like that's just coming through right now. I'm just saying what I feel, which is that yeah, I just feel like my purpose is to just give. And that I do that well, and that I'm safe. I have to tell myself that a lot because I question that too. So I don't know if that's telling myself something loving, but that's reassuring. So I think that's important to tell myself. So, yeah.
Carrie Ann, if you didn't have anything to give, then what? I think you're on mute. I'm sorry.
I don't know how that happened. Have I been
Yeah.
on mute the whole
Kelly,
time?
No.
Oh, okay.
Kelly, let's not do the mute because it's just too hard with the exchange. So my question to you, Carrie Ann, was what if you didn't have anything to give?
And my initial thing was, I don't know. Like I'm not even sure I understand. I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that, really.
Yeah.
I have no idea if I didn't have anything to give, there'd just be me, which isn't,
So is it possible that it's set up in your consciousness that your worthiness of being loved is equated to what you do for others?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah.
That's how I get my value.
Yeah.
So maybe.
But could you believe that you are valuable and worthy of love because you're breathing?
It's a process. I believe I could get there. I don't think it's an easy spot to get, but absolutely. Yeah.
I think this is a fundamental misunderstanding that so many of us have, and we all have these different dynamics in how we try to get love. And some of us accomplish things, other of us do things for other people. Others of us, are super smart, always have the right answer. Like everybody's got their own contribution. But at the end of the day, we are expressions of the divine.
Believe that.
What could you say to the part of you that has that misunderstanding? How can you help her realize that she has so many gifts and talents and abilities that are naturally coming through, being expressed just in who she is?
You're asking me what I could have, I was listening to all those other words, what I could say to myself, or what was the real quick, repeat it one more time or just briefly?
Yeah, if you were going to give her a little encouragement,
Okay.
what would you say?
That I'm enough.
Mm.
That comes through a lot, that I'm enough, that I just am a big believer. The word love comes through, and it's just that I have to do more loving of myself. Just have to do more loving of myself. The same love that I'm giving to other people, I just really have to remember to bestow it on me, on here, on Carrie Ann as well. So that's what I'm feeling right now to say. So, and again, it's not easy, but I think every time I do, I get a little better. I don't know.
May I offer you something?
Sure, absolutely.
Because your true essence and your true nature is love itself. It's love itself. You know, this idea that we have to be more loving is a little bit of a conundrum, actually, because you naturally are love. But what happens is our operating system is like the runaway train. And the operating system is categorizing and analyzing and judging what's acceptable or not acceptable, what makes a good person or not a good person, what makes a lovable person or not a lovable person. So the invitation is actually for less judgment, less expectation, less categorization.
Yeah.
What comes forward when I say that to you?
Less expectation just hit hard for some. Yeah. Perfection is not like, it's not something I think without even knowing, that's what perhaps I'm trying to strive for. And what comes forward is actually allowing myself to recognize that, is that I have a sense of relief that comes over me, sort of like just a calmness that would come over if I could embrace that. And when I do, because there's times when I do, right? And I can just feel it's just a comforting, good, happy place to be when I recognize that, in those moments when I recognize and love myself and I just am, it's such a palpable, good spot. It doesn't happen often, but when it's there, it's very recognizable. Like I can feel it as I'm talking about it now, and it brings tears to my eyes. That's where I know I'm supposed to be all the time, but I'm not. But when I'm there, it's a really nice feeling.
Yes. And I love that you have that reference point and that you've had a taste of that, right? I'm seeing some of the comments in the chat, and Evelyn says, this seems to be so common. Why is this? And this brings me back to our topic, right? And this idea of our sacred soul plan and our spiritual curriculum. And so through this conversation, you started out talking about self-trust, which I definitely think that's on the list of curriculum for you. But what else is coming forward as like a big highlighted headline for your growth and learning opportunities?
Self-love,
Self-love.
self-acceptance, self-love,
Self-acceptance.
self-acceptance, and
Can I
self-love, acceptance.
can I throw in self-compassion?
Absolutely. And interestingly, how I say that I have that again for others, but I said to myself, I'm compassionate, but I need to have more compassion for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I want to take you back to how this whole conversation started when you said, like, I find it really hard to trust other people, but I recognize that is because I don't trust myself. So, and I spoke about the world as our mirror, and that's like reflecting back to us. So when we think about self-compassion and self-acceptance, these are themes. I'm getting back to your question, Evelyn. I'm going around in a big circle like I always do, but this is so common for all of us, because not only do we have our own individual curriculum, but we have our collective curriculum. And what would the world be like, Carrie Ann, if more people could have self-compassion and self-acceptance?
It would be a different world.
It would be a different world. And that
1,000%.
brings tears to my eyes.
Mm-hmm. It would.
And this is really like the incentive to do the work. Go ahead. What do you want to say?
No, I was just going to say how if the world is a mirror, and I was saying that, as you were saying, if my focus was giving compassion and came so easily to give it to others. And actually, I believe that if you look in the world, I feel like most people find it so much easier to be compassionate to others, but not themselves. And so if everyone was more self-loving, more compassionate, just recognizing their own value and how we are all love and light, it would be a different world. So it's just it's just it's interesting.
When I coach, there's always like a theme of the week or like a theme of the day. Like it's so, I just am always in awe of the way spirit works through me and through my clients. And so today, this week's theme, it's only Tuesday, is permission. And so my question to you is, what permission do you need to give to yourself to have a little bit more self-compassion and self-acceptance?
I have to give myself permission to maybe make mistakes and not always be right on, and to be human, because I have to be more compassionate, understanding of my imperfections, for lack of a better word. Yeah. What I might consider my imperfections. I don't know.
Carrie Ann, was this helpful for you?
1,000%. It can
Thank
never
you
not.
so much. Yeah, thank you so much for sharing with us today and for your level of honesty and your level of transparency and your level of attunement and awareness. And I want to send you with that, I said it earlier, the fact that you can catch this voice when it is vying for safety and keeping you from having a more expanded life and a more expanded experience in your life. That is a very important thing that you are able to do. And so my invitation to you is to begin to relate to that voice with more compassion and more acceptance and that gentle loving that you naturally embody, and see if that can't get her to relax a little bit.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
All right. We have somebody else. Thank you so much, Carrie Ann. Blessings of love and light to you. I'm so grateful that you joined me today. Thank you so much. Blessings. And we're going to bring on somebody else who is coming on for coaching. I don't know who this is, but we're going to find out right here, right now, in real time. Hello.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you tell me your name? Just your first name.
Lynn Juno.
Lynn, hello.
Oh, there it
welcome.
popped up. There it is.
Yay. It's so lovely to have you with me today. Thank you so much.
Very nice to be with you, Donna.
Thank you.
This is a wonderful topic, a wonderful direction, very appropriate for me also, what you and Carrie Ann had talked about. Um, I definitely have a lot of the perfectionist and people pleaser in me. So I don't know how much therapy you want to do in 5 minutes. No. Because it's a broad subject, isn't it? But I'm a psychic medium, and there are so many wonderful people doing this type of work now, and a lot of them are naturally gifted. I know one lady who's a seventh generation medium. Okay,
Amazing.
I don't have that kind of pedigree. I think she's amazing too.
Me either.
So sometimes I feel like I'm playing church league softball against, somebody who's in the big leagues, right? And there goes
I
that
hear you.
comparison, and there goes my self-confidence, and I want to run away and go do something else.
Lynn, I hear you. Believe me, I hear you. I hear you. Tell me about your unique expression.
I am starting to appreciate and recognize my unique expression, and that has to do with having a lot of compassion and a lot of humor. If I make someone laugh in my work or out of my work, I'm a happy camper. I've been a success that day, right? So bringing joy and laughter, and also I'm very much into color, and I'm going further into that. But I think most people feel comfortable talking to me. It's just something about my persona that's always been there.
Agreed. You have a very welcoming, soft landing energetically. You're just a soft landing. So I can really attest to that, right? As you're here with me, it's like, oh yeah, I just want to settle in here.
Thank you. I consider that a compliment, because putting people at their ease, especially now, is not too common. Would you agree?
Yes, I would agree. I want to share something with you that's not just for you, and it's coming in very loud and clear right now. And I know that you just need to hear this, that right now on the planet, it's not really about you, and it's not really about me. And so when we get entangled in the not enoughness, right? And the comparison game, and that person's got the pedigree and this and that and the other, right? Like, I mean, believe me, honey, I got a big long list. And right now, anyone who is making a contribution to a better humanity, making a contribution to uplifting hearts and minds, opening people to new awarenesses, both about themselves and the world. I mean, I don't care who you are. You are to be celebrated. And in this courage that we get to demonstrate as we share our gifts out in the world, we're polished. We are polished like a diamond, and you are being polished like a diamond. And so that's really how your sacred soul plan connects back to what it is you're here to do, be, have, give, share, and evolve into, right? Because it's through you showing up and being of service again and again and again that you are going to naturally grow. Is this resonating?
It is. It is. It's a good reminder how much we're all needed. And yeah, and I appreciate the reminder. I think I've even said something similar to other people. You always know the wise thing to tell someone else, right? And I think I've said, do we have any shortage of people in need? There can't
Right.
be too many light workers if there's no shortage of people in need, right?
Yes. Yes. This might seem like a segue, but somehow I'm going to find the connection in here because you said it and it has stuck with me. You landed and said, I'm a people pleaser.
Mm.
And so the question that I have for you is, if I say no, it means that
I've made a choice to do something else.
right. And if I made a choice to do something else, then
It's not personal.
it's not personal.
You mean when we say no to someone else? Is that where we're going here? When we say no to someone else?
Is that a question?
Well, since I describe myself as a people pleaser, then that would seem logical. And yes, I did just get caught up in a bunch of drama and mess in my head with family. I found myself going right back to a point I thought I was over, of getting very caught up in, oh, are they mad at me? And did I make a mistake? And da 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 da. I thought, oh no, am I back here again?
And this is a long pattern, right? This is a long-term pattern for you. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So this is absolutely curriculum, right? Unquestionably curriculum. This is what it looks like.
Okay.
How can you relate to it differently? I mean, you just gave me a beautiful answer. Like, I've chosen to do something else and it's not personal.
When it comes to family and very personal relationships, it's easier for me to say it than do it.
Mm. Lynn, what's the deeper misunderstanding that you hold within yourself about what it means if you say no?
That people won't love me anymore because I'm not doing what they want me to do.
Yeah. And is that true?
Doesn't seem to be. Doesn't seem to be working that way.
Yeah. If you did less people pleasing, what space would open up for you to do more of something else?
It would bring my stress level down. It would allow me to slow down and be more present and pay more attention to what's immediately in front of me. Instead of trying to do 8 or 9 things, maybe I could do 4 or 5 things much better. What a concept. It would open up the space for me to be kinder to myself, like you were talking about with Carrie Ann.
Yeah. Beautiful. Has this been helpful?
It has. Thank you, Donna. You're good at getting right to the point.
Lynn, thank you so much for your share, and thank you so much for your service in the world. Keep doing what you're doing. You have a unique, beautiful gift. And, whether you have the 7 generations of pedigree or not, it's lovely to just sit in your space.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Blessings. Thank you. Well, look at the time, everyone. It's so interesting. I was thinking about the celebration of love's alchemy. And the celebration of love's alchemy is where we celebrate something that is a little less ordinary, or maybe even contrary, that we wouldn't ordinarily celebrate. And every episode, I just wait for spirit to like tell me what it is we're going to celebrate. And we're out of time for today. We're out of time. You know, we'll save it for next week or next episode. But if you would like to learn more and actually do the real work of investigating your spiritual curriculum and understanding a deeper dive of your own personal lessons, you can visit decodeyourdivinepurpose.com. This class is a 3-part class. It launches next Tuesday on July 8th. And it's going to be very rich and fruitful in illuminating for you what your lesson plan looks like, so that it's front and center in your consciousness and you'll recognize it next time it comes up. This is the beauty of this. I'm going to close our space, and we just want to send the light up ahead to all of everyone who might be working with self-compassion and self-acceptance, self-trust. Any of us who might be working through issues of people-pleasing or not enoughness, or feeling like we're comparing ourselves to others. May each one of us remember and recognize our unique divine signature that only we can bring, that only you can bring. And you bring that into all of your relationships, into your family, into your work, into the expression of who you are. We are now closing all energetic lines of communication between any of us, closing all open portals, gateways, channels, agreements, and lines of communication between any of us and the spirit world. We are so, so grateful. Thank you for being here. We are closing this episode with love, in love, for love, by love, as love. I'm Donna Bond, and this is Spiritual Ambition. Thank you for being here.